beauty of elections in India is always the war of punchlines.
Okay.
The war of slogans, and right now I think the two dominating slogans are of Prime Minister Modi, where he said "एक है तो safe है," and UP CM Yogi Adityanath, where he said "बटेंगे तो कटेंगे." What do you think is the impact of these, and what do कवि क्या कहना चाह रहे थे इसमें? Hello viewers, you are watching the Indian Express, and ahead of the Maharashtra Assembly Elections, we are joined by senior journalist Deeptiman Tiwary to talk about what all of this means for the largest economy, the second most populous state in the country, and the third biggest state geographically. Now, these are the credentials of Maharashtra, Deeptiman, but at the same time, somewhere it feels that instead of being an assembly election, this is a huge panchayat election with massive national ramifications. You have 6 major parties battling it out, you have hyper-local issues. And to start off our conversation with, I want to know what are these local or region-based issues that are dominating the narrative in the state?
Okay, first of all, let me explain the Maharashtra politics itself and why we say that this is a hyper-local election. And see, Maharashtra, the national political discourse is generally a lot more focused on the Hindi belt, and people keep talking about the complexities of UP and Bihar and these places. But one of the most complex states in the country, electorally and politically, is actually Maharashtra.
Correct.
And there are actually 4 states within one state. So you have northern Maharashtra,
Right.
and you can include Mumbai and the region with it. Then you have the Konkan belt. Then you have Marathwada and western Maharashtra. And then you have Vidarbha, and all these regions have completely different issues, different economies, different socio-economic structures,
Correct.
and different caste equations. And if you go from Vidarbha to Marathwada and other Konkan regions, also cultural differences.
Right.
Okay, so there are different crop patterns, there are different eating habits. So it's a very, very complex state in the first place. And
Right.
that is why in a complex state where there is so much of diversity and where there is no homogeneity, there are bound to be local issues which will have a lot of say in
Correct.
people's voting choices.
Correct. Absolutely.
So that is why, and it's not just this election that Maharashtra is seeing local issues being very, very important. In all elections in Maharashtra, local issues have been very, very important. Whether they dominate the discourse or not is a different matter.
Yeah.
But people's voting choices have always been governed by local issues.
Correct.
And this is also because Maharashtra as a state is not politically run in a homogeneous way. So you have these regional satraps everywhere.
Right.
Okay, so Pawars will run, western Maharashtra.
Mhm.
The Shiv Sena will have influence in Mumbai and
Right.
Konkan belt.
Right.
Then the Congress and Shiv Sena will have some influence in Marathwada. Then BJP and Congress will fight it out in Vidarbha. So different places have different power centers. Then every district will have a regional satrap.
Definitely.
Every constituency you will see is being run by a particular family. So there will be Naiks, and there will be Gaikwads, and there will be Deshmukhs. So there will be Chamans. So all of these families will have influence running for generations in a district.
Absolutely.
Okay, or in a particular region. And you will find that these families, one after another, continue to win a constituency or continue to contest a constituency for generations.
Right.
So, for Gavits in Nandurbar, so there are many such examples where a certain family will have greater political influence in an area, in a constituency, in a district, in a region. And this is also because Maharashtra is very unique in the fact that it has tethered economy to politics.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you have sugar barons. So
Hmm.
you have sugar cooperatives, or you have cooperative banks, which are being run by a political family. Now you have the farmer's money
Correct.
directly tethered to you. So his interests and your interests are aligned somewhere. Your economic interests begin to align.
Correct.
So your political choices are governed by it.
Absolutely.
And that is why these families continue to have such influence for generations in a constituency or in a region or in a district. So it's a unique phenomenon in Maharashtra, which is difficult to find elsewhere. I mean, cooperatives have not been as successful as they've been in Maharashtra, barring the, Amul cooperative example in Gujarat.
Gujarat, yeah.
So, so that is basically the background of Maharashtra elections actually becoming local.
Correct.
And so once again, I am not at all surprised that despite so much of noise around the political formations and alliances and all the changes that have taken place politically in the state, we still go to the ground and find that people are talking about local issues.
Correct.
That we are not getting enough water in our farms, we are not getting enough drinking water, or there are no jobs for our boys and girls, or several other issues that may be affecting people. In these elections, what we see again is that in different regions there are different local issues. So, for example, in Vidarbha, you will find that soya bean prices and cotton prices are a big issue among farmers. Then you go to Western Maharashtra, then you will find issues related with the sugar cooperatives, and again irrigation and things like that. In Northern Maharashtra, you will find onion prices
Right.
becoming an issue. Recently, the government has lifted, export ban on onions because it had started becoming an issue among farmers. Farmers were not getting right prices for onions. Again, in Konkan belt, you will find drinking water an issue, jobs an issue, because it's not a very industrialized part of the state. In Marathwada, drought has been one of the biggest issues. Lack of irrigation has been one of the biggest issues. So in different regions, there are different issues. Again, in Western Maharashtra, if you go, flight of capital has been an issue. I mean, Foxconn was to start a industrial unit there. It went to Gujarat. So there is an issue among the people that this is a discrimination against the state. So, but the same issue may not affect farmers in Vidarbha.
Correct.
They are not thinking about it.
Correct.
So that is why this is a very hyper-local election, and because there are these families and there are these contests happening in each constituency where these families controlling the political economy of that area
Correct.
for generations.
Correct.
They are contesting and they are responsible for winning that seat on behalf of the party.
Right.
So it's not that Sharad Pawar goes on a tour of Western Maharashtra and he wins all seats. No, he may be popular, he may be highly respected, but at the ground level he knows that okay, these are my people, these are my guys who are going to win this constituency. Okay. Similarly, be it Uddhav Thackeray, be it Eknath Shinde, they all have these regional satraps. And in Maharashtra it is said there are regional satraps and then there are sub-regional satraps.
Correct.
So who win elections for you? So in that way it is, I mean, one could say that this is also a kind of political oligarchy, or you could say it differently when we look at a BJP fighting at the center in the name of just one man.
Correct.
So you could say this is also a very democratic way of fighting an election where different people come together, having influence in different pockets of a region or area, and coming together to form a government.
Absolutely.
Or make a party win.
Absolutely.
So a more democratic sort of electoral exercise that way.
Absolutely. Now, because there are 6 parties in the play right now, the major ones, and my next question is sort of two-pronged. Now, you have your regular BJP Congress, you have a Shiv Sena, which is bifurcated now, and then you have an NCP, which is bifurcated. But like you mentioned, a Sharad Pawar can go to Western Maharashtra and campaign, but at the same time, he needs to demarcate who his guys are. So, how do you see this vote sharing thing happening between the alliances?
Okay, so whether these vote transfers will happen or not, we don't know, because this alliance, all these are all new alliances which have formed in the past 5 years. All these splits have happened in the past 5 years. So no assembly election has tested them. We had one contest in 2024 polls, where both the alliances came very close to each other. I mean, one is around 43%, the other is around 44%. The seat difference is huge, but the vote share is very, very close.
Correct.
So, it is very difficult to call out who
Correct.
is going to win, and whether, and a lot has changed since then. The Mahayuti has learned from its mistakes. So it has made some corrections. It has announced certain schemes, and that may work on the ground. There are various other factors which will influence the election, be it the Maratha quota agitation or the farmer distress. All of that, how what people perceive, that who is going to actually remedy their problems is what is going to decide these elections. Correct. At the end of the day. Whether NCP will be able to, say Ajit Pawar will be able to transfer his votes to BJP and Shinde Sena, whether UBT Sena will be able to transfer its votes to Congress NCP, is something that is very difficult to say at this moment, because as we said, that this is a hyper-local election.
Correct.
So unless there is an overarching narrative where people are saying that, Ram Mandir ke liye vote hai hamara, so then no other issue matters, because then it is very clear. Or say Muslims saying कि BJP को तो हराना है. So then nothing else matters, whether there is a road in your colony or not, whether you're getting drinking water or not, doesn't matter. But when people are thinking about the issues that affect them on a day-to-day basis and whether they are being remedied, then what is the promise that the two alliances or their respective candidates in each constituency
Correct.
are holding out to them? Like, for example, let us also understand that these alliances are so new that people are not sure that they will even survive post the elections. So that may be one of the reasons why people are not betting on parties.
Right.
And they're betting on candidates, that if my candidate wins, wherever he goes, at least he will be available for me.
Correct.
We don't know whether this party will stay on this side or will go on that side, whether UBT will join hands with BJP and form a government, whether Shinde Sena will merge with Shiv Sena again,
Correct.
whether Ajit Pawar will go back to Sharad Pawar and become part of Mahavikas Aghadi, or what will Mahavikas Aghadi be, or whether Mahayuti and Mahavikas Aghadi will even survive.
Correct.
So the entire politics is so fluid that people are betting on candidates rather than betting on parties.
Right. Or alliances for that matter.
Yes.
Absolutely. And speaking of candidates, there is one particular candidate, and we all know that, we sort of always root for the underdog also. Like in the Lok Sabha elections, we were rooting for Chandrasekhar Azad so much, even in Haryana elections as well. Manoj Jarange Patil.
Well, Manoj Jarange Patil is a huge phenomenon and risen to the political landscape very quickly and has a huge following among the Maratha youth. Now, what impact he is going to have on elections, we don't know, because he's not openly taken any side, and he was supposed to, have candidates of his own. Then he went back on it. Then he said that he will announce support to somebody. Then he went back on it, that also, and he left the political landscape free and said that the Maratha people can vote wherever they want, and I don't want to influence the elections, and this was welcomed by both Mahayuti and Mahavikas Aghadi.
Correct.
And both said that now this leaves the battlefield free for us to contest.
Correct.
And people can freely exercise their franchise. So, but it remains that during the Lok Sabha polls, the Maratha quota agitation did impact the Mahayuti adversely.
Right.
And it lost a lot of seats in those regions. And this will remain a factor. And so the overall sense that Jarange Patil gives is an opposition to the Mahayuti, even though he may not say it openly. Whether his decision to rescind from fielding candidates, to what extent it will blunt the Maratha anger against the Mahayuti is something that remains to be seen. Also, whether the Maratha youth or the Maratha population, apart from, 2024 may have been a way to send a signal that, if you guys don't take us seriously, then we can defeat you.
Correct.
Whether the Maratha population feels that it is Mahavikas Aghadi which will give us the reservation that we want, that we don't know.
Right. That remains to be seen.
That remains to be seen.
Absolutely. So the beauty of elections in India is always the war of punchlines. The war of slogans, and right now I think the two dominating slogans are of Prime Minister Modi, where he said "Ek hai to safe hai," and UP CM Yogi Adityanath, where he said "Batenge to katenge." What do you think is the impact of these, and what do कवि क्या कहना चाह रहे थे इसमें?
देखिए ये तो सिंपल देखिए ये तो टेम्पलेट पॉलिटिक्स है बीजेपी का. तो हर इलेक्शन में कोई ना कोई कम्युनल ओवरटोन होना ज़रूरी है, बिकॉज दैट्स हाउ हिंदुत्व पॉलिटिक्स वर्क्स. सो एंड इट हैज़ वर्कड फॉर देम over several decades. By polarizing an election, they have benefited. So why not do this here as well? Why it is also more important in these elections is because the Maratha quota agitation has driven a wedge between OBCs and Marathas to an extent. So a unifying factor. So again, this is a Hindu vote which is getting split between Marathas and OBCs, and the two going on opposite sides. That is never good news for the BJP. So if one community gravitates towards you, then the other community is going to go away.
Correct.
So when you bring in communal overtones in a political campaign, then it helps you to unite Hindus as a whole to one single threat, which is the Muslim or any other community that you are agitating against. So it helps, and probably this is the thought behind it, that there are some social caste divisions which are happening on the ground. The Congress is campaigning on caste census and saying that OBCs and Dalits are not getting their rights. So how do we make sure that all these caste groups come together and vote for us? So you say that you are all under threat as Hindus from Muslims, so you vote for us, otherwise you know who will win.
Absolutely. We'll circle back a little bit to the issues that we were talking about. Deeptiman, if you had to quote 3 game-changing reasons or 3 game-changing milestones that could sway the elections either ways, which 3 do you think are the needs that need to be looked at?
No doubt, first will be the Maratha quota agitation, because it has had a massive impact, and we have already seen what it did in the 2024 polls. It will continue to have, maybe its impact will be a little lesser than 2024 polls, but it will continue to be one of the major reasons that will decide how people choose to vote.
Absolutely.
Second will be the Ladki Bahin Yojana.
The Ladki Bahin Yojana, correct.
Because that already we are hearing from the ground is having an impact. People are happy with the Yojana, and handing over 1,500 rupees directly in the hands of women at a time when food inflation is going through the roof,
Yeah.
is a major relief for the people. And it also directly targets the women's constituency, and whoever has targeted women's constituency has benefited. So it may help the Mahayuti and the Shinde government. And the third factor is going to be, in my opinion, the sheer number of independents and rebels who are in the fray.
Absolutely.
So this time we see a lot of rebels and independents in Maharashtra elections. And if you look at past elections, independents and smaller parties, and there are many smaller parties in Maharashtra.
Correct.
They together, which if you look at election data, they come under this header of others.
Others.
So others almost poll 1/4 of all votes in Maharashtra elections.
Absolutely.
In successive elections, they continue to vote in around 25%. It's a huge share of votes.
Absolutely.
So, and it's very difficult to calculate beforehand as to where that vote is going to go and how it is going to impact those. So in Maharashtra elections, independents, rebels, and these smaller parties, which Maharashtra has many, in successive elections they have accounted for almost 25% of votes.
Correct.
And always get 20-30 seats. So they continue to be a very, very influential group as far as Maharashtra elections are concerned. So it will be difficult to say how beforehand how this will pan out. But they will have an impact on these elections, and in an election where the key parties themselves are 6 in number.
Correct.
So the impact of these smaller parties and these independents will be even higher. Because the votes are going to get split. So I think they are going to be the third most important factor in these elections.
That remains to be seen on the 20th of November when Maharashtra goes to polls. And Deeptiman, before we wrap up our conversation, 3 battlegrounds that you are looking forward to.
Very simple. The battlegrounds which must be there in everyone's mind will be the Konkan Mumbai, Western Maharashtra, and Marathwada, because very simply this election is going to decide the fate of which is the real NCP.
Oh yes.
Which is the real Shiv Sena. So whoever wins Mumbai, Thane, Konkan belt will cement their place as the real Shiv Sena.
So this is like a litmus test.
This
existential.
Will be absolutely an existential question for both the Senas and the NCPs, and BJP and Congress will fight it out in Vidarbha, and will show who has people's support. But the 2 key battles will be NCP versus NCP, Shiv Sena versus Shiv Sena. It will decide which party will go where after elections.
Absolutely, and that is the reason we started the conversation as to this feels like a panchayat election with its hyperlocal issues, but at the same time, it is going to be a deciding factor for the fate of 2 very important regional parties in the state of Maharashtra, that is Shiv Sena and the NCP. Keep watching the official YouTube channel of the Indian Express for all the updates on the Maharashtra Assembly elections. You can read Deeptiman Tiwary's in-depth articles on indianexpress.com. Thank you for watching.